Anya sat on the last bench in her class, her head low, eyes fixed on the lines she had drawn with a broken pencil on her rough notebook. The math teacher's voice felt far away, like a radio playing in the background. Her heart wasn't in the classroom. It never really was. Every tick of the clock pulled her closer to her favorite moment of the day, the last bell. That's when she could be free. When the bell finally rang, the other children rushed out. Some ran to play, others walked together in groups, laughing and teasing, but Anya moved quietly, alone. She held her bag tight against her chest and walked slowly toward the back of the school building. She looked around carefully, making sure no one followed. Then she slipped into the girls' bathroom, pushed open the farthest stall, and locked the door behind her. That was her secret stage. She took a deep breath and closed her eyes. She hummed a soft note, then another, and then, gently, she began to sing. Her voice was raw but full of emotion. She sang about dreams, about skies she wanted to reach, about a world where she could finally be heard. The bathroom walls turned into concert halls in her imagination. Her voice bounced back at her, stronger and sweeter. She sang not to impress, not to perform, but just to feel alive. But what Anya didn't know was she wasn't alone. Outside the bathroom, someone stood near the door, still as a shadow. Miss Kamla, the school's music teacher, had come back to collect her forgotten folder. As she passed by, she heard something strange, notes floating through the tiled walls. She stopped, stunned. The voice wasn't trained, but there was something different. Koshia listened for a minute, then walked away, her face unreadable. The next morning, during assembly, Miss Kamla made an announcement. There will be auditions for the school choir on Friday. We need fresh voices for the annual music competition. Those interested, meet me in the music room after school. Anya's heart jumped. She had always wanted to sing in front of people, to be seen and heard, not laughed at or ignored. But she had never dared. Everyone thought she was too quiet, too plain. But something inside her whispered, maybe this is your moment. She decided to go. After school, she stood outside the music room, sweating, her fingers shaking. Laughter and chatter echoed from inside. She peeked through the glass window and saw the other girls, confident, stylish, already practicing with the teacher. Anya felt like a stranger at a party she wasn't invited to. But she gathered her courage and walked in. Miss Kamla looked up, she asked, not unfriendly, but not welcoming either. I want to try, Anya said, her voice barely above a whisper. The room fell silent. Someone giggled. Another girl whispered. Miss Kamla raised an eyebrow. All right, she said, come on then, let's hear you. Anya walked to the front. Her legs felt weak. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She remembered the bathroom, the safety of the echo, the quiet love in her own voice. And then she began. The first note was soft, nervous, but then her voice grew. It wasn't perfect, but it was real raw, emotional, full of longing. The music room changed. Even the girls who mocked her stopped talking. Her voice touched something in the air. When she finished, she looked up. Breathless. Miss Kamla didn't smile. She didn't clap. She stepped forward and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, you have a nice voice. But nice isn't enough. Singing is more than just feeling. You need control, training. You don't have that. Maybe next year. Anya felt the room shrink. Her heart sank deep into her stomach. She nodded slowly, turned, and walked out before the tears could fall. Behind her, the girls began laughing again. Outside, Anya ran toward the back of the school, past the trees, into the old garden. No one visited anymore. She sat on the broken bench and cried. Her chest hurt. Her dreams felt like glass shattered in the first real test. She didn't know someone had followed her. An old man, tall and thin, wearing a long brown coat despite the sun, had been near the school gates. He had heard her singing inside the building earlier that day. He wasn't a teacher. No one knew who he was. He walked by quietly, noticed Anya running, and followed her from a distance. Now he stood behind a bush, watching her cry. He didn't approach her. He just stood there listening to the sound of her heartbreak. His eyes weren't cold. They were sad, thoughtful. He stayed there until she got up and left. Later that evening, Anya sat at the kitchen table while her mother prepared dinner. She wanted to say something to tell her how the audition went, but the words wouldn't come. Her mother placed food in front of her, smiled and said, you're too quiet these days, Anya. You should make friends. Join something. Try singing. Anya bit her lip, nodded, and quietly finished her meal. That night, as she lay in bed, she stared at the ceiling and whispered to herself, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not meant for this. But deep inside, another voice whispered back, no, you just haven't found the right stage yet. The next day, something strange happened. A small piece of folded paper was tucked inside her English notebook. She unfolded it. It read, I heard you. You have something they don't. Don't give up. Meet me at the old music shop on 5th Street after school. Alone. No name. No signature. Her hands shook as she read it again. Who left this note? How did they hear her? Was it a prank? She didn't know, but deep down she wanted to believe it was real. After school, curiosity overpowered fear. She walked through the busy streets, found the dusty old sign that said Mahar's Music and Memories, and stepped inside. The shop was empty. Rows of old records, guitars with broken strings, and a piano missing 3 keys. It smelled like old books and time. "Hello," she called Dot from the back. A soft voice replied, "You came." A woman stepped out, maybe in her late 40s, with short gray hair, eyes sharp like she could see into Enya's soul. She wore no makeup, no smile, but she had presence, like she had once owned the world. "I'm Meher," she said. "I used to sing. You left the note." Anya asked me, nodded. "I was passing by your school. I heard something real. Not polished. Not perfect, but real. That's rare." Anya looked down. "They said I don't have control, that I'm not enough." Mehor chuckled. "They're not wrong. You're not trained. But that doesn't mean you don't have something worth saving." Enya's eyes lit up. "You mean, you can teach me?" "I can," Mehor said. "But I won't go easy on you. And I don't want to hear any talk of fame or stages. If you want to learn, you do it for the music, for the voice, not for the crowd." Anya nodded eagerly. Mehor stared at her for a moment, then pointed to the piano. "Sing the scale." Anya opened her mouth, but her voice cracked. Mehor didn't flinch again, she said, and so began something new. Every day after school, Anya would slip away to the old shop. They practiced for hours. Mehor corrected her posture, her breathing, the way she shaped her vowels. She made her sing in mirrors, in silence, even upside down once, just to feel the breath differently. It was hard. Sometimes Anya cried, but she never gave up. That one evening, after a long session, Meher handed her a notebook. "Write your pain," she said. "Songs don't come from the mouth, they come from wounds." That night, Anya filled 10 pages with her memories of being ignored, laughed at, told she was nothing. Days turned into weeks. Then one day, Mehor gave her a challenge. "Sing in front of someone." Anya froze. Not a crowd, just one person. Someone who matters to you. Someone who won't lie. Anya thought hard. She chose her mother. She waited until dinner, then said softly, "Can I show you something?" Her mother smiled. "Of course." Anya stood up, nervous, and began to sing. Her voice still trembled, but something new was there. Strength, depth, truth. When she finished, her mother's eyes were wet. "You've been hiding this all along," she whispered. "You sound like you." Anya smiled, tears in her eyes. But just then the doorbell rang. Her mother opened it, and there stood Mehor, her arms crossed. "You broke the rule," she said coldly. "No audience." I thought," Anya stammered. "You're not ready," Mehor said. "Come back when you remember why you started." And with that, she walked away. Anya stood frozen, the warmth of her mother's praise still fresh, but Meher's disappointment cutting deep. She didn't know what to feel, but she knew this. Her voice had finally been heard, and someone out there still believed she wasn't ready. But she would be. She had to be. Anya didn't sleep that night. She kept playing the scene in her head over and over: Meher's cold face, her sharp words, the disappointment in her voice. "You broke the rule. No audience." That one sentence echoed louder than any applause. Her mother gave. Anya had only wanted to share her voice with someone who truly loved her. Was that so wrong? The next day, Anya didn't go to Meher's shop. Her school day felt heavier than usual. Even her secret walks to the back of the building, her safe spaces, felt empty. Something inside her was trembling again, not just fear, but confusion. Was she not good enough yet, or had she just made a mistake? During lunch, she sat alone on a broken step near the science lab. She opened her practice notebook, the one Mehor had given her, and stared at her lyrics. Her emotions were thereon. Every page, raw, honest, but now the words looked distant, like someone else had written them. She gently closed the book and whispered, "Was I wrong to sing for someone I love?" Suddenly, a shadow fell across her. Anya looked up to see Deepa, one of the girls who had laughed at her during the choir audition. "You still trying to be a singer?" Deepa smirked. Anya didn't reply. Deepa stepped closer and said in a mock-sweet voice, "You know, I saw that old woman coming to your house, the one who wears coats like it's winter all the time. She your grandmother or something?" Anya, hands clenched. Deepa leaned down and whispered, "They say she used to be famous, until she ruined her voice and disappeared. Maybe you'll end up like her." Before Anya could speak, Deepa turned and walked away, laughing with her friends. Anya's cheeks burned with anger and shame. But beneath that was something else, something stronger: a decision. After school, she didn't go home. She walked the familiar path to Meher's music shop. The door was locked. The sign said closed, but she didn't leave. She sat down on the doorstep, waiting. Hours passed. The sun began to set. Finally, the door creaked open. Mehor stood there, arms crossed, face unreadable. "You came back," she said flatly. "I'm sorry," Anya said quickly. "I didn't mean to break your trust. I wanted my mom to know what I've been doing. I wanted her to hear me, just once." Mehor sighed. "Singing for love isn't wrong, Anya, but you weren't ready. You made a promise." "No," Anya said, "but I'm not giving up. I want to learn. Please let me try again." There was silence. Then Mehor stepped aside. "Come in." That night, their practice was harder than ever. Mehor pushed Anya's voice to its limits. She made her sing while standing on one foot, while turning in slow circles, even while lying down. "Control comes when you lose comfort, Meh," said the voice. "Must be yours no matter what." Anya's throat burned. Her eyes filled with tears more than once. But she didn't stop, not even once. When they finished, Mahor handed her a glass of warm water and sat beside her on the floor. You want to know why I gave up singing? Mahor asked suddenly. Anya nodded. I was young, just like you, hungry for applause, addicted to the spotlight. I sang on big stages. People clapped, cameras flashed. But then I started chasing more perfection, fame, approval. I forgot why I started. One night during a big show, I lost my voice in front of thousands. I cracked, I collapsed. What happened after that? Anya asked gently. I disappeared, Mahor said. I ran away from the world. I told myself I didn't deserve to sing anymore, until I heard your voice. That pain, that truth. I remembered why I started. Anya listened quietly. For the first time, she saw the sadness behind me. Strict eyes. I don't want you to become me, Mahor whispered. Anya reached out and took her hand. You're the only one who ever made me feel like my voice matters. Mahor gave a small smile. The next morning, Anya woke up before sunrise. She began writing again songs from her soul, not to impress, but to understand herself. Days passed, and she trained every afternoon at the shop. Her range improved, her breathing deepened, her pitch grew stronger. She even began learning how to read sheet music. Mahar's rules were strict, but fair. Then, one evening, everything changed. Arrived at the shop to find the door already open. She stepped inside and saw Mahor arguing with someone, a man in a black jacket, holding a phone and a folder. She's just a kid, Mahor said angrily. The man replied, she's more than a kid. Her voice could sell out shows, don't you? See that? Anya froze. The man turned and noticed her. He smiled. You must be Anya. I've heard your voice online. It's raw, real, and rare. I want to offer you something big. Anya looked at Mahor confused. Mahor's jaw was tight. I didn't upload anything, Anya said slowly. Someone did, the man said. A video of you singing near that old piano. It's gone viral. Thousands of views. You have fans already. Mahor's face darkened. The man continued. I'm with Spotlight Studios. We're launching a reality show, India's Rising Voice. It's for young talent like you, real singers, not plastic pop stars. I can get you a guaranteed audition, but you have to decide fast. Doors close in 2 days. He handed her a card and left. Anya stood in the silent shop, her heart racing. Viral audition, a chance to sing? For the world? Mahar walked slowly to the counter, her back to Anya. What should I do? Anya asked. I can't answer that, Mahar said. If you go, your life will change. Maybe not for the better. But I've worked so hard, Anya whispered. Isn't this what we were preparing for? We were preparing your voice, not your fame, Mahar said quietly. Anya nodded slowly. I'll think about it. That night, she sat on her balcony, staring at the city lights. Her mother brought her tea and sat beside her. You're quiet again, her mother said softly. Someone offered me an audition, Anya said. A big one for TV. Her mother looked surprised. Isn't that amazing? I don't know, Anya admitted. Mahor's afraid it'll change me. Her mother thought for a moment. Then she said, You've already changed, Anya, but in a beautiful way. Not because of any stage, but because you finally started believing in your voice. Anya blinked back tears. The next morning, she took the card out of her drawer and stared at the number. She dialed. Hello, this is Spotlight Studios. I'd like to register for the audition, she said. Later that day, she walked into the music shop. Nervous. Meher was tuning the piano. I signed up, Anya said. Meher looked up. There was no anger in her face, just a long pause. Then we have 2 days, she said. Let's make every note count. For the next 48 hours, they trained harder than ever. Mahor made her sing with blindfolds in the dark, outside in the wind. The world won't always be kind, she said, but your voice can still shine. On the morning of the audition, Anya wore a simple white dress and carried her lyrics in a folded paper. Her mother hugged her tight and whispered, No matter what happens, I'm proud of you. At the studio, the halls were filled with people, girls in shiny outfits, boys with guitars, some laughing loudly, others looking scared. Anya felt like an outsider again, but she held on to one thought. Sing like no one's watching. Sing for the girl in the bathroom who never thought she could be heard. Finally, her number was called. She walked onto the stage. The lights were blinding. 3 judges sat at a table, looking bored. Name one, asked Anya. Song, an original. One of the judges raised an eyebrow. Bold. Go ahead. Anya took a deep breath, and then she began to sing. Her voice started soft, almost a whisper. Then it arose. Each word came from the place she had buried pain, fear, loneliness. She sang about being told she wasn't enough, about hiding in silence, about a voice she didn't believe she had until someone helped her find it. The judges stared. The room fell completely silent. Even the assistant stopped moving. Her final note echoed. Then silence. One of the judges slowly leaned forward. Who trained you? He asked. Anya smiled. A woman who lost her voice once, but gave it back to me. There was a pause. Then the screen flashed the judge's buzzer, not the red one, but gold, the golden buzzer. Confetti fell from above the audience. small, but Rial stood and clapped. And Anya. She stood there, crying, shaking, but smiling. The girl they once told couldn't sing had just shocked the room. The golden confetti still floated through the air as Anya stood frozen in place, her hands covering her mouth, tears falling freely. She could hardly believe what had just happened. The golden buzzer. The moment every singer on that show dreamed of. It wasn't just approval, it was a ticket straight to the live shows. No more rounds, no more waiting. She had skipped to the top. She stepped off the stage, still shaking. Crew members smiled and congratulated her. A woman with a clipboard said, "We'll be in touch. Be ready. The live show is in 3 weeks." But Anya could hardly hear anything. The sound of applause still echoed in her ears. Outside the audition hall, her mother waited, pacing nervously. When she saw Anya walking out with glitter in her hair and eyes filled with wonder, she rushed forward. "What happened? Are you okay?" she asked, holding her daughter's shoulders. Anya nodded, barely able to speak. Golden buzzer. "Amma, I got it." Her mother gasped and hugged her tight, tears filling her own eyes now. "I knew it. I knew they'd see what I saw." That night, the studio released a short video of Enya's audition online. It was just 30 seconds long, but those 30 seconds went viral faster than anyone expected. In 1 hour, 50,000 views. By morning, over 500,000. People began commenting. "Who is this girl? That voice gave me goosebumps. She's not just singing, she's feeling every note." By the next day, her name was trending on social media. News channels showed her clip with the headline, "Unknown Girl Stuns Judges with Original Song." Enya's life began to change. But change didn't come quietly. She returned to school after a weekend of fame, walking through the gates that once felt heavy with shame. This time, things were different. Students whispered her name. Teachers smiled more. Some kids asked for selfies. Even Deepa, the girl who once mocked her, tried to sit beside her at lunch. "You sounded amazing," Deepa said, flipping her hair. "I always said you had potential." Anya smiled politely but didn't reply. She wasn't here for approval anymore. She knew who she was now. Later that day, the principal called her into the office. He congratulated her and even asked if she would sing at the next school event. For a second, Anya felt pride, but somewhere deep down, she remembered how the same school once silenced her. Still, she agreed. She would sing, but, this time, not for them, for herself. After school, she returned to Meher's shop. It had become more than a training ground. It felt like home. She opened the door and stepped inside, but something felt different. Meher wasn't sitting at the piano like usual. She was standing still, holding a letter in her hands. "What's wrong?" Anya asked. Meher looked up slowly. "I just saw your performance on TV," she said. "You did?" Anya smiled nervously. "What did you think?" Meher paused. "You were brilliant." Anya exhaled in relief, but Meher added, "Fame is a storm. Once it starts, you can't stop it." Anya frowned. "I didn't ask to go viral. I just sang." Meher nodded. "I know. That's what makes you special. But now, you have to stay honest. Fame will try to change your voice, your image, your choices. I'll stay true, Anya. Promised I won't forget where I started." Meher handed her the letter. "This came for you." Anya opened it. It was an invitational official contract from the television company. They wanted to sign her for 5 live shows, provide her with a stylist, backup singers, even her own theme song. But at the bottom of the page, one line made her freeze. "All performance rights and creative direction will be handled by Spotlight Studios." She looked up. "Does this mean I won't be allowed to sing my own songs?" Meher nodded slowly. "Not unless they approve them. You'll have to sing what they tell you." Enya's chest tightened. Her songs weren't just music, they were her voice, her wounds, her soul. How could she sing someone else's words? "I don't want to lose myself," she whispered. "Then you need to make a choice," Meher said. "Follow the road everyone walks or build your own." Anya went home that night with the contract in her bag and a storm in her heart. She sat on her bed, looking at the form, wondering if signing it meant success or surrender. Her mother came in and sat beside her. "You've been quiet again." "I got this offer," Anya said. "It's everything I dreamed of. But they want to control everything, even my songs." Her mother held her hand. "Sometimes dreams come with fine print, but remember, your voice is yours. No one can take that unless you give it to them." Anya nodded. But the next day, she went to the studio to meet with the producers. They greeted her warmly. One of them, a young woman named Ria, sat with her in a private room. "You're very talented, Anya," Ria said. "But this industry moves fast. We have to shape you for the audience. That means catchy songs, a marketable look, rehearsed interviews." Anya asked softly, "What if I want to sing my own songs?" Ria smiled kindly. "Maybe 1 or 2 later on. But not now. People don't know you yet. They need to see something they recognize." Anya looked down. Ria added, "You're special, but raw, we can polish you into a star." Anya left the meeting feeling small. All her life, people told her she wasn't enough. And now, people were saying she was too much of herself. She went back to Meher's shop and found her waiting with tea in silence. Anya sat on the piano bench. I don't think I want to be polished, she said. Meher chuckled. Good diamonds shine even rough. They practiced that evening in quiet rhythm. The shop felt like a heartbeat. No lights, no cameras, just music. A week passed, then two. And then the day of the first live show arrived. Anya stood backstage, dressed in clothes picked by the studio. Her hair was styled, her makeup was heavy. She looked like someone else. But in her hand, hidden inside her sleeve, was a folded note with lyrics she wrote the night before. As the show started, singers performed one by one. Lights flashed, crowds screamed. Songs were loud and exciting, but lacked soul. Finally, the host called her name, Anya, the voice that shocked the judges, now ready to show the world who she is. She walked onto the stage. The lights hit her face. She looked at the band. They waited for her cue. She was supposed to sing a song the studio chose, a fast, fun pop song written by someone else. But instead, Anya walked to the center, raised the mic and whispered, I'd like to sing something I wrote. A song about how I found my voice? The audience murmured. The host looked confused. The producers in the control room panicked, but it was live. They couldn't stop her now. Anya took a breath and sang. This time, her voice wasn't shaking, it was sure. She sang about that bathroom stall, about being laughed at, about Meher's piano, her mother's hug, her own fear, her growth, her promise to never lose herself. People listened, really listened. When she finished, there was silence. Then one clapped, then another. Then the room exploded in applause. The judges were speechless. Backstage, producers argued. Some were angry, others stunned. But the viewers at home, they weren't confused at all. That night, Anya's performance became the most shared video online. A hashtag trended. Hashtag sing your truth, AANYA. She received thousands of messages from young people saying, you gave me courage. Her school principal called again. This time, not to ask for a performance, but to say, thank you for making us proud. Her teacher, Miss Kamla, the one who once told her she didn't have a real singer's voice, sent her a message. I was wrong. Your voice is more than real. It's needed. Anya didn't reply. She didn't need to. She just walked to Meher's shop the next day, opened the door, and said, I didn't sing their song. Meher looked up and smiled. I know. And for the first time, she clapped. The morning light came through the cracked curtains of the small apartment, but Alina had barely slept. Her mind kept replaying every word from last night's confrontation with her mother. It wasn't just about singing anymore. It was about trust, about believing in someone even when the world called them a dreamer. Her voice had cracked from all the crying, and for a singer, that was terrifying. She sat silently on the edge of her bed, staring at her hands. They were shaking. She didn't know if it was fear or adrenaline or both, but she had made her choice. She was going to the next audition round, and this time, she wasn't going to hold back. Outside the apartment, the city was waking up. Buses rumbled past, shop shutters clattered open, and vendors began shouting about their fresh fruits. But inside, it was quiet. Her mom hadn't come out of her room, not even a sound. Alina thought about knocking but decided against it. Instead, she picked up her old shoes, tied her hair back into a messy bun, and stepped out the door. She had only one place in mind, the rooftop of the old community center. It was where she used to go as a child to scream when things got too loud at home. It was also the place she first tried singing in the open air. It felt safe there, raw, honest. Climbing up the stairs, memories flooded back. Her father's voice, always soft but strong, had once told her, don't let the world harden your heart. Alina, sing with the pain, not against it. She hadn't heard those words in years, but now they came back like a forgotten melody. On the rooftop, the wind greeted her like an old friend. She stood at the edge, looking out at the maze of buildings, and let out a long breath. Then, slowly, she began to sing. No music, no audience, just her voice and the sky. And for the first time in days, she felt something settle inside her. Peace, confidence, a strange mix of both. By the time she came down, it was almost afternoon. She checked her phone. 2 missed calls, one from a number she didn't recognize, and one from Hannah. She ignored the first and called her best friend back. Hannah answered on the first ring, her voice rushed and excited. Alina, where have you been? I've been calling. You need to check your email. The producers sent you something. Alina's heart raced. She quickly opened her email and saw the message. It was from the show. They had fast-tracked her to the live rounds. Not just that, she'd be opening the night. First performer, Hannah was still talking, her words a blur of excitement, but Alina could barely hear her. All she could think was, this is real. This is really happening. But with that joy came fear. Being first meant all eyes on her. If she failed, there'd be no recovery. That night, she sat alone in her room, staring at the list of songs she'd been allowed to choose from. There were pop songs, ballads, even some classics, but none of them felt right. None of them were her. She thought about skipping it, walking away, but then she heard it, a soft knock at the door. Her mother, for a moment, neither of them spoke. Then, her mom walked in, holding something wrapped in cloth. This belonged to your father, she said quietly, placing it on the bed. Alina unwrapped it slowly. Inside was a small cassette recorder, old and worn. He recorded every rehearsal, every idea. Her mom whispered. Even when no one else believed in him, he believed in his sound. Maybe it's time I believe in yours. Tears welled in Alina's eyes. Her mother sat beside her, hesitant, then pulled her into a hug. I'm scared for you, she said, but I'm proud of you too. That night, they stayed up listening to her father's old tapes. Some were off-key, some were beautiful, all were full of emotion. By dawn, Alina had made her choice. She would write her own song. It wasn't allowed technically, but she would. Ask Beg if she had to. It had to be her story, not someone else's. The next morning she walked into the producer's office with trembling hands but steady eyes. I know the rules, she began, but I need to sing my song, please. Just give me one shot. The producer, a tall man with tired eyes and a coffee addiction, looked at her for a long moment. Then he leaned back in his chair and said, if it flops, it's on you. If it shines, we'll all pretend we believed in you from the start. Alina laughed out of pure relief. She walked out of that office with her heart pounding, and 2 days left to write, rehearse, and polish the performance of her life. Hannah came over to help, along with a few local musicians who believed in her. They worked around the clock, writing lyrics from her journals, composing chords that echoed her pain and hope. There were moments she broke down, times she thought she couldn't do it, but each time, someone lifted her back up. And by the time the day arrived, she was ready, or so she thought. Backstage, the nerves hit her like a storm. The lights, the cameras, the distant hum of the audience. Her name was announced, and everything slowed down. She took one step onto the stage, then another. The crowd was a blur of faces. The judges looked bored, flipping through their notes. Then she took her place, the microphone cold in her hands. The music started, soft, barely a whisper. She closed her eyes and sang, not like before, not like someone trying to impress, but like someone telling the truth for the first time. Her voice shook at first, then grew. Each note was a memory, each lyric a piece of her story. The crowd went silent. The judges lifted their heads. One by one, their expressions changed. Boredom turned to curiosity. Curiosity turned to awe. And just when the song reached its climax, when her voice soared higher than she ever thought possible, something happened. A sound, soft at first, then louder. Applause from the back of the theater. One person, then two. Then the entire audience stood, cheering, clapping, shouting her name. Alina stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. The music faded, the lights dimmed, and for a moment, there was nothing but the sound of her heartbeat. One of the judges leaned forward, microphone in hand. His voice echoed across the room. Who wrote that song? She looked up, still breathless. I did, she whispered. Pause. Then the judge smiled. Then I suggest the world gets ready, because that was not just a performance. That was a revolution. Backstage, the producers were in shock. Phones rang nonstop. Social media exploded. Clips of her performance were already going viral. Alina, Hannah screamed as she ran up to her. You did it. You actually did it. But Alina didn't feel victorious. Not yet. Because something in the crowd had caught her eye. A face, someone from her past, watching, smiling. It was faint, almost a blur. But she knew that smile. And in that instant, her joy turned to confusion. Because that man, the one in the back row, he looked exactly like her father. But that couldn't be. He was gone, wasn't he? She blinked and the seat was empty. Maybe it was the lights, the emotion, her imagination. But deep down, something didn't feel right. She tried to shake it off, tried to celebrate, but that image stayed with her. That face, that impossible smile, and as the night drew to a close, the cameras shut off, and the theater emptied. Alina sat in her dressing room, staring at the mirror. Her reflection looked back, victorious but unsettled. She had sung her truth. She had moved the world. But now, a new question burned in her heart. Was her father really gone, or had she just opened the door to a truth even deeper than the one in her song? The morning after her live performance, Anya woke up to something she had never seen before. Her phone buzzed with hundreds of notifications. Messages from strangers, comments from across the world, even emails from music bloggers and journalists. Some people wrote things like, "You reminded me why I loved music, and your song made me cry at 2 a.m. She stared at the screen, overwhelmed. As the numbers kept climbing, she walked into the living room. Her mother was already watching the news, and there it was again, her face on the TV. The headline read, "Young girl breaks studio rules, wins nation's heart." Her mother looked at her with proud eyes. "You didn't just sing," she said. "You started something." Anya felt a mix of joy and fear. Joy that her voice had finally been heard the way she wanted. Fear of what would happen next. Would the studio be angry? Would they punish her for singing her own song? That fear was answered later that afternoon when she was called into a meeting at Spotlight Studios. She walked into the room quietly, her notebook in her hand like a shield. The same producer who once smiled at her now looked serious, almost cold. "We need to talk," he said. Anya sat down. "You were asked to follow a plan. Instead, you changed the entire performance without permission. I wanted to be real." Anya said it was risky. the producer replied, but the truth is it worked. People loved it. Your video has crossed 8 million views. In less than 24 hours, you've become the face of this season. Anya blinked. So, I'm not in trouble. No, the producer said. But we need to protect this image now. Your next performance has to be bigger. We're planning a duet with a celebrity singer, someone famous, someone who can take your story further. Anya hesitated. Will I still get to sing my own songs? He paused. Well, think about it. We can mix your song with a known track. Give it a more commercial feel. The words didn't sit well with her, but she nodded. Later that night, Anya sat in Mayhor's shop, her chin resting on the edge of the piano. They want me to sing with a celebrity, she said. Do you want to? Mahor asked. I don't know. Part of me feels excited, but another part feels like they're shaping me again. Mayhor nodded. Sometimes, opportunity wears a disguise. You just have to look beneath the surface. Anya looked up. What would you do? I'd sing like I was alone in a storm, and let the world hear how I survive it. The next day, Anya met her duet partner, a young male singer named Arman, who had been in the industry since he was 14. He was tall, charming, and knew exactly how to talk in front of the cameras. He greeted her with a confident smile. You're the girl who broke the rules, he said. I like that. Anya smiled shyly. I just sang what I felt. Arman chuckled. Well, let's make sure you feel even more next time. Our duet's going to trend #1. They began rehearsals. The studio had chosen a love song, a popular hit from 2 years ago. Arman sang his part perfectly. But when it was Anya's turn, she felt distant from the lyrics. The words weren't hers. The emotions didn't match her story. The director stopped her halfway. Anya, feel the words. Fall into the song. She nodded, but inside she felt lost. She went home and rewrote her part of the song. Late into the night, she sat under her blanket, composing new lyrics that told her story about finding courage, about trusting her heart. She wasn't sure if they would let her sing them, but she had to try. At the next rehearsal, she showed her changes to Arman. He read them and looked surprised. These are powerful, he said, but the studio won't like it. Will you help me sing them anyway? She asked. Arman hesitated. Let me think. Later that day, Anya received a message from him. I'm in. Let's sing your words. On the night of the second live show, the studio was packed. Cameras, lights, excited fans. Backstage, the director reminded them, stick to the script. Surprises. Anya and Arman looked at each other and said nothing. But they both knew what they were about to do. When the music began, Arman started with the original lines. The crowd swayed, the judges smiled. But when Anya took the mic, she didn't sing the studio's version. She sang her rewritten lyrics. Her voice trembled at first but then grew strong. Confident. The room changed. The judges leaned forward. The camera zoomed in. Even the host looked shocked. Then, Arman joined in singing the new version with her. Word by word, note by note. The audience began to rise to their feet. And by the end of the song, they were all standing, clapping, cheering, crying. After the show, backstage chaos erupted. Producers yelled. Managers argued. But none of it mattered, because the internet had already exploded. Clips of the duet went viral instantly. Hashtags like hashtag #AANYA unplugged and hashtag real voices flooded social media. Fans created artwork. Some people wrote, she's not just singing, she's leading a movement. That night, Anya returned to Mayhar's shop, exhausted and overwhelmed. You did it again, Mayhar said, but this time, I wasn't alone. Anya replied. Arman stood. With me. Mahor smiled. Good. Even strong voices need harmony sometimes. But the storm hadn't passed. The next morning, Anya received a call from the studio. They wanted a meeting. When she arrived, she noticed the change in tone. The smiles were gone. The mood was tense. The producer stood up. Anya, you disobeyed us again. I just sang the truth, she replied. You broke the contract. Arman too. We can't run a show where artists change songs live on stage. It's chaos. Anya stayed quiet. Your voice is powerful, the producer continued. But if you want to stay in this competition, you need to follow rules. What if I don't? She asked softly. Then you'll be removed. Room went silent. Anya stood. Then maybe I don't belong here, she said. Maybe I belong somewhere music is still real. And she walked out. No cameras, no confetti, just silence. The next day, news broke that Anya had left the show. Some called it a mistake. Others called it bravery. Anya didn't post anything for 2 days. Then she uploaded a simple video. No makeup, no effects, just her in Mayher's shop. She looked into the camera and said, I was told I couldn't sing, then I was told what to sing. Now, I'm just going to sing what I feel. If you're still listening, thank you. Then she sang one of her oldest songs, one written the day she was rejected at school. It went viral in minutes, and something unexpected happened. Other young singers began uploading their own songs. UNPOLISHED. Honest, raw, .a. Trend started. Hashtag Sing Your Truth Challenge, AANYA, had become something more than a contestant. She had become a symbol, a voice for those who never got the mic, and deep in her heart, she knew This was just the beginning. The days after Enya's video went viral were nothing like she imagined. Her phone wouldn't stop ringing. Her inbox was full. Talent scouts, online platforms, even music schools from abroad wanted to speak to her. But in all the noise, Anya felt strangely quiet inside. She wasn't sure what step to take next. For the first time, she had walked away from something beyond, yet it felt right. She had stood for something. Now the world was watching. She spent most of her time at Mihar's music shop. The dusty old walls, the cracked keys of the piano, the worn-out strings on the guitar. It was the only place where she felt safe. She wrote music like she was breathing. Songs about fear, about hope, about how standing alone was scary but sometimes necessary. Mihar kept her grounded. Fame is a river, she said one afternoon, pouring tea. Let it pass through your hands. But don't try to trap it. You'll drown. Anya smiled at the metaphor. Then what should I do with it? Use it to water something real, Mihar said. Like your purpose. That night something unexpected happened. Armand visited the shop. She hadn't heard from him since they walked off stage. He stood at the door with a tired face and sad eyes. I quit too, he said softly. Enya's heart skipped. You did. I couldn't stay and pretend. Not. After what we sang, it felt like the first time I was actually alive. They sat together for hours, not talking much, just letting the silence speak. In the days that followed, Anya and Armand started writing music together. Not for a label, not for a show, just for the soul. They filmed a video together in acoustic duet in the back of Mihar's shop. No flashy lights, just them, raw and honest. The song was about breaking out of a box, about being more than what people expected. Exploded online. Comments poured in from young people who felt trapped in labels: too fat, too quiet, too dark, too old, too broken. And yet Enya's voice made them feel whole. She had unknowingly started a quiet rebellion, not with protests or anger, but with truth. Then came the email that would change everything. It was from the Rising Sound, massive international online music festival that featured undiscovered voices. They had seen her video. They wanted her to perform live in their closing show. Enya's fingers trembled as she read it. I'm not even signed with anyone, she whispered. That's the point, Armand said. They want authenticity. You. The offer included travel, a small performance fee, and a live stream in over 30 countries, but there was a catch. She had to perform solo. Anya looked at Armand. He smiled and nodded. Go show the world who you are. I'll be watching. The days before the festival were hard. Anya practiced till her throat was sore. She rewrote her song again and again, chasing a feeling she couldn't quite capture. She wasn't trying to be perfect. She just wanted to be real. One night, while she practiced alone in the shop, Mihar came in and placed something in front of her. It was a box. Inside it was a small, worn-out voice recorder. This belonged to your father, Mihar said. Anya froze. My father? She whispered. He used to sing. Mihar continued. He recorded songs for your mother when she was pregnant with you. He believed music could heal anything, but he gave it up after he fell ill. Enya's hands shook as she turned on the recorder. The tape crackled. Then came a voice, soft, emotional, and untrained, but full of heart. It sang a lullaby about dreams, about stars. Anya closed her eyes. She hadn't heard her father's voice in years. The song ended with a message. For my daughter, may you always sing what's true. Tears rolled down her cheeks. This was the feeling she was chasing. The next morning, Anya told Mihar, I want to sing something new, something based on this. His voice, his message. I want people to feel him through me. Mihar nodded. Then take his story with you. Anya left for the festival the next day. It was her first time flying. Her first time being truly alone. No cameras from the show, no crew. Just her guitar, her notebook, and her father's voice recorder. The venue was beautiful, on open-air stage surrounded by water. Thousands of people in the audience. Drones flying overhead. Lights sparkling like fireflies. Backstage, Anya felt her hands shake. A coordinator came to her. You're up next? Anya nodded, but her legs felt heavy. She looked down at the recorder in her hand. Then she closed her eyes and whispered, I'm ready. She stepped onto the stage. The host introduced her. Anya once rejected, now rising. The crowd clapped, but many were quiet. Unsure of who she was, she sat on the stool. The spotlight hit her. She spoke first. I was told I couldn't sing, that I should stick to the script, that I wasn't good enough. I believed him for a long time, but then I heard my father's voice. She held up the recorder, and he reminded me, I don't have to be perfect, just honest. Then she played. The song began, soft, gentle guitar, a melody inspired by the lullaby. Her voice wavered at first, but then, like always, it found strength. She sang of fear, of doubt, of walking alone in crowded rooms, but also of hope, of rediscovery, of finding her father in every note. The audience listened in silence. Many wiped their eyes, some held hands, and when the song ended, the silence broke into thunderous applause. Standing ovation. In 30 countries. A girl once told she had no voice now, singing across the world. Backstage, her phone buzzed again and again. Labels. Interviews, even a message from the same judge who once said she couldn't sing. I was wrong. But what mattered most? was the message from her mother. Just 3 words. He'd be proud. Anya looked up at the sky and whispered, "Thank you." But as she smiled at her rising moment, a shadow approached. It was a woman, in her late 30s, tears in her eyes. "Are you Anya?" she asked. Anya nodded. "I knew your father," the woman said. "And I think there's something you don't know." Anya blinked. "What?" The woman pulled out an old photo. It showed a younger version of Anya's father, with a guitar, standing outside the same studio Anya had once auditioned at. "He didn't just sing," the woman whispered. "He was the one who built the idea of Spotlight Studios. He started it. For people like you." Anya's heart dropped. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that place that once rejected you. Your father created it." Anya froze. Wind howled. And suddenly, everything she thought she knew about her journey, about why it hurt so much, about why music called to her, shifted. The stage lights behind her dimmed, the crowd's cheers faded, and the story wasn't over. It was only just beginning. The crowd was still clapping behind her, but Anya couldn't hear any of it. Her heart was pounding in her ears. The woman in front of her, tired eyes, holding that old photograph, stood like a door to a past she never knew existed. "My father built Spotlight Studios," Anya whispered, almost afraid to hear it again. The woman nodded. "Yes. His name was Kabir Shan. He had a dream to create a space where voices like his, like yours, wouldn't be silenced. He fought hard to open it, but after he got sick, they took it from him. Quietly, he never got credit." Anya's hands tightened around the recorder still in her pocket. The same voice that once sang her lullabies had once dreamed bigger than she could imagine. "How do you know all this?" Anya asked. The woman's eyes softened. "I was there. I worked with him. I watched him give everything to that place. After he passed, the people in charge changed the direction. They made it more commercial. And slowly, they erased his name from the story." Anya stared at her in disbelief. All this time, the place that told her she didn't belong, that her voice wasn't enough, was born from the soul of the very man who gave her music, her father. She felt sick. She remembered the judges, the rejection, the pressure to become someone else. She thought she was proving them wrong, but now it felt deeper than that. "Why are you telling me this now?" Anya asked. The woman paused, then said, "Because I saw you on that stage just now, and I saw him again. I saw his fire, his kindness, his honesty. You carry him, Anya, and I thought you deserved to know the truth." Anya sat alone that night in her hotel room, looking at the photograph. Her father young, smiling, hopeful. The guitar slung across his back. The building behind him, Spotlight Studios. It wasn't just a studio anymore. It was a betrayal. And suddenly, all her pain, the cold rejection, the mocking words, the Schmidt wasn't just personal. It was a theft of something sacred. "They used his dream to silence people like me," she whispered. That night, she didn't sleep. She wrote like she was on fire. Not just music, but a message, a story, the truth. She wrote an open letter to the world. She titled it, "The Studio My Father Built." In the letter, she poured everything out. About Kabir Shan, his dream. How Spotlight Studios was founded on a promise to make space for unheard voices, and how that promise had been buried. She included the photograph, a clip from his old recording, and ended with these words. "I was told I couldn't sing in a place my father created for singers like me. This isn't just about me anymore. It's about every voice that was pushed away. It's time we take it back." She posted it the next morning. Within hours, it exploded. The letter was shared across platforms. Artists, musicians, and fans all started commenting. Some shared their own stories of being turned away by Spotlight Studios, of being told they were too different, too raw, too real. A movement began to form. #Voices Return trended online. Journalists reached out. Music influencers began calling out the studio. How can a place reject the daughter of its founder? One post read, "But with the love came the pressure." Spotlight Studios released a statement. "These are false claims meant to gain attention. Spotlight Studios respects all talent equally." Anya was stunned. She had the photo, the voice recording, the testimony, and still they denied him. Arman called her. "They're scared," he said. "That means they know it's true." But fear began to crawl in Anya's stomach. "What if they bury it again?" she asked. "What if they twist everything?" Arman's voice was firm, then singeth loud, clear, in front of everyone. "They can deny a post. They can't deny a performance." Anya paused, then she knew what to do. "I'll go back," she said, "back to where it all started." The idea was simple, painful, brave. She would return to Spotlight Studios and sing. Not for a show, not for approval, but as a protest, a statement. She would do it live, outside the very building they stole from her father. Arman helped her plan it. Mahor supported her quietly, sending her an old microphone that once belonged to Kabir. "He'd want you to finish what he started," she said. When they reached the studio building, the guards stopped them. "No public filming allowed," he said. But Anya wasn't stepping inside. She sat up on the sidewalk, a single stool, her guitar, a small speaker, a phone on a tripod to stream it live. Word spread fast. Within minutes, people gathered. Cameras clicked. Curious passers-by stopped. Some even brought signs. "Let her sing. justice for Kabir. Spotlight was his. Anya sat down, looked up at the building, then closed her eyes, and began to sing. The song was unlike anything she'd written before. It wasn't soft. It wasn't pretty. It was a storm. She sang of betrayal, of stolen dreams, of a daughter picking up the pieces of a broken legacy. Her voice cracked in places, but she didn't stop. The crowd grew. Hundreds, then thousands online and in person. Then mid-song, something happened. A door opened. Two men from Spotlight Studios walked out. They tried to interrupt. "You need to stop this," one said. "You're causing a disturbance." But Anya kept singing. Her voice grew louder. So did the crowd. The men turned red. One shouted, "This is defamation." But someone in the crowd yelled back, "So is erasing history." Then, someone unexpected stepped forward. The same woman who gave Anya the photo. She faced the men. "I worked with Kabir. I saw everything. You don't get to rewrite this anymore." Phones recorded. The studio men froze, realizing the tide was turning. Anya finished her song, and for a moment, silence fell again. Then a wave of applause broke out. Not the applause of fans, but of believers, supporters, witnesses. Anya stood up, faced the building. "This place silenced me once, but now I sing for every voice you tried to bury. We're not going away." She packed her things, walked away with her head high, and behind her, the crowd chanted, "Let her sing, let us sing." That night, Spotlight Studios' official page went dark. Rumors swirled, internal investigations, leadership changes. A few brave employees stepped forward, backing Anya's claims. A famous singer posted, "I was rejected there too, now I know why." Music blogs called it the awakening of Spotlight. For the first time in years, the studio's power was shaken. But Anya didn't care about revenge. She cared about truth and healing. She received an email a few days later, from a small but respected music school in Delhi. "We read your story. We have a scholarship program for students with strong voices and stronger hearts. We'd be honored if you came, not just as a student, but as a guest mentor." Anya stared at the screen. She looked at Mehor's photo of her father, then replied, "Yes." She packed her bag with the same guitar, the same recorder, the same hope. As she left for Delhi, Arman met her at the train station. "You changed everything," he said. "I just told the truth," she replied. "No," he smiled. "You sang it." The train pulled in. As Anya stepped inside, a child sitting nearby looked at her curiously. "Are you the girl who sings the story songs?" the child asked. Anya smiled and nodded. The child said, "My mom told me your voice makes people brave." Anya sat down, looked outside the window, and whispered, "Then I'll keep singing." But as the train rolled on, her phone buzzed up. New message. From someone with no name, just a subject line. "There's more about your father. Meet me." Anya's breath caught. She opened the message. A location, a date, tomorrow, and one line. "He left something behind, something he meant. For you?" Her hands trembled. The story wasn't done. The truth was deeper, and the next note was still waiting to be sung. The next morning, Anya stood at the edge of a quiet park in Delhi, gripping her phone tightly. The message still blinked on the screen. A location, a time, a promise. He left something behind, something he meant for you. Her heart beat like a drum. Arman had offered to come, but she said no. This felt personal, deep, meant to be walked alone. The park was almost empty, except for a few kids playing cricket in the distance. She looked around, wondering who had called her here. Then, from a bench under a large banyan tree, a figure stood up slowly. An old man, with a cane, glasses, and the kind of face that had seen many seasons. He raised his hand and nodded at her. Anya walked over, cautious but curious. "You're the girl who sings with fire," he said in a raspy voice, "like your father once did." Anya stopped. "You knew him?" The old man smiled gently. "I was his closest friend. I helped him write his first songs. We started the studio together, but when the time came, I walked away. I couldn't watch them steal his dream." Anya sat down beside him, her throat dry. "Why didn't you say anything before?" "Because I was ashamed," the man said. "I didn't fight back when they changed everything. I stayed silent. I buried my guilt. Until I saw your video." He reached into his coat and pulled out a weathered leather notebook. "He left this with me before he died. Told me to give it to his daughter if she ever came looking." Anya's fingers trembled as she took the notebook. The cover was soft from age. Inside were lyrics, scribbles, sketches of music notes, and letters, pages and pages written in her father's handwriting. "He knew someday you'd ask who he really was," the man whispered, "and he wanted you to have every part of him." Anya turned the pages, tears spilling from her eyes. There was a song titled "The Voice I Never Heard." Another one, "Daughter of My Silence." Her breath caught as she read the lines. "If you're reading this, it means you found the courage I couldn't. It means you didn't just carry my voice. You gave it wings." The man placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "There's one more thing," he said. At the very back, Anya flipped to the end. Tucked inside was a photo of her as a baby, in her father's arms. On the back, written in faded ink, "To the girl who will one day finish my song." She pressed the photo to her heart. "He wanted me to continue," she whispered, "to tell his story." "Through music?" The old man nodded. Not just his story, yours too. The two are one now. Anya looked up at the sky. The sun filtered through the trees like gold. For the first time, she felt whole. Later that night, back at her hostel room, she laid the notebook out on her bed. Her guitar in her lap, her recorder on, and for hours, she read and played and cried and wrote. The melodies poured out of her like water breaking through a dam. She wasn't just creating a new song. She was completing an unfinished symphony left behind by a father who never got to sing it. As dawn approached, a final verse came to her, one that spoke of pain, of silence, of a voice finally rising. She recorded it, raw, pure, honest, then posted it with a single caption. From the notebook he left me. The reaction was immediate. Millions listened, many cried. Some said it healed them, others said it gave them strength. It feels like he's singing through her, one comment read. Another said, this is no longer about proving herself. This is history, this is legacy. Within 24 hours, producers, music directors, and even TV networks reached out. Offers came flying in, interviews, record deals, albums, but Anya felt strangely still. She didn't want fame, she wanted meaning. The story wasn't finished yet. The following evening, she got a call. From an unknown number, a woman's voice. Anya, I'm calling from Rising Rhythms. Anya sat up. Rising Rhythms was one of the most respected music shows in the country. We saw your video, the woman said, and we don't want to judge you. We want to feature you, not in competition, but as a guest. To share your music, your story, on your terms. Anya couldn't speak, just nodded. The woman continued, we want the world to hear not just your voice but your father's legacy too. You'll be our finale performer. Are you ready? Anya closed her eyes and said, yes. Rehearsals began the next week. The stage was grand, but this time, it didn't scare her. She wasn't the unsure girl from that first audition. She wasn't trying to fit in anymore. She was there to shine. On her own terms, she brought Kabir's notebook with her each day, reading it backstage, speaking his name out loud. The producers asked her if she wanted backup singers, special effects. She shook her head. Just me, my guitar, and my father's words. The night of the performance, she stood behind the curtain. The host spoke to the audience. Tonight, we close with a voice that has stirred the nation. A voice born of silence, of pain, of power. Please welcome Anya Shan. The curtain lifted, lights dimmed, silence fell. Anya stepped forward and began to sing. The song started soft, a single chord. Her voice cracked slightly then grew. Each line wove her father's verses with her own. The pain of being told she didn't belong. The strength to rise anyway. The truth of a dream that lived through generations. Her eyes shimmered, but she didn't cry. She was too focused, too present. The audience sat in stillness. Some held their breath. By the final chorus, her voice soared. Not perfect, but powerful. Then, a final note. Pure, clear, held for a long second. Then silence. A beat, another beat, and then, thunderous applause. Some stood, some wept. The judges had nothing to say, just clapped. Slowly, deeply. One judge whispered into the mic. That wasn't just a performance. That was a resurrection. Anya stepped off the stage, her knees weak. Mahor was waiting for her backstage, tears in her eyes. You did it, she whispered. He heard you wherever he is. He heard you. Anya hugged her tightly. I didn't do it alone. You raised me when the world said I was too much. You gave me music when others gave me silence. That night, the performance went viral. Even international artists shared it. This girl isn't just a singer. She's a movement. One headline read. Another, from rejection to revolution. The voice that changed the game. But Anya was quiet, sitting by her window, notebook in hand. She wasn't chasing fame. She was tracing footprints, her father's, her own, and those still waiting to find theirs. Then came another message, from Spotlight Studios. Short, careful. We would like to invite you to speak, to help us rewrite our story. Would you consider returning not to perform but to lead? Anya read it twice, then looked at her reflection in the window. The girl who once trembled at their door now held the pen. She picked up her recorder, pressed record, and whispered, I was told I couldn't sing, but I did. And now, I'll make sure no one ever hears that lie again. But just as she was about to put the recorder away, a new notification appeared. A short video clip sent anonymously. The caption, they never told you the full story. She clicked play, and saw something she never expected. A video of her father, in a small recording. Room. Tears in his eyes, saying, if she ever sings, I want her to know. There's one more song, hidden for her, but they buried it then. The screen went black. Anya froze. One more song. Hidden. Buried. End. Suddenly, everything changed. Anya stared at the video on her screen, her hands frozen in midair. The words repeated in her head like an echo. There's one more song, hidden for her, but they buried it. Her father's face, tired and trembling in that old recording, looked straight into the camera like he was looking right at her. And then, the screen had gone black. Who sent the video? What did they mean by buried? And most importantly, where was the song? She sat in silence for a long time. The city, Noise outside her window fading into the background. That one sentence had shaken everything. It wasn't over. There was still something missing, something her father had left behind that no one wanted her to find. She tried tracing the source of the message. The number was masked. The video had no metadata. Whoever sent it didn't want to be found. But why now? Why after her performance had gone viral? And how did they have a clip of her father that she had never seen? Her mind raced. She looked at the old notebook again. Maybe there was a clue in there. She flipped through the pages one by one, this time carefully, line by line. At the back, tucked between two glued pages, she noticed something strange, a page slightly thicker than the others. She slowly peeled it apart. Inside, hidden between folds, was a scribbled address, an old studio name, and 3 words. Don't trust them. The address led to a recording house on the edge of the city, long shut down. Anya stood outside its rusted gate the next morning, her heart pounding. The place looked forgotten, walls covered in moss, broken glass near the entrance. But something about it felt familiar, like her footsteps knew the path before her mind did. She climbed over the gate and entered quietly. Inside, the air was thick with dust. Old posters peeled off the walls. Broken speakers, tangled wires, and a half-smashed piano sat silently, like ghosts of sound. She walked to the back, where there were several small recording booths. One door was nailed shut. A plaque read, "Studio under renovation." But renovation had never happened. Anya's fingers brushed the doorframe. It looked newer than the others, recently replaced with all her strength. She pushed the door, creaked open slowly, revealing a narrow room. Inside, untouched by time, stood a shelf, a chair, and a small recording desk, and on it, covered in a cloth, was a dusty tape recorder. She walked over and uncovered it. Next to it lay a tape, labeled in faded ink for her. Her chest tightened, hands trembling. She pushed the tape into the machine and pressed play. Static at first, then his voice, clear, raw, real. "If you're listening to this, you found what they didn't want you to. My final truth, my last gift to you. This song was written for you before you were born. I recorded it in secret because they wanted to erase my sound, but I hid it here, hoping one day my daughter would come back, not just to sing but to free the voice they tried to silence." Then came music, her father's voice, a melody so haunting, so beautiful, that Anya fell to her knees. It wasn't just a song. It was a message, a love letter, a cry, a fire. Tears ran down her cheeks. Every note felt like a hand reaching out to her from the past. She closed her eyes and listened until the tape stopped, and then she sat there, holding the recorder to her chest, feeling the weight of a truth finally found. But her moment of peace didn't last long. Behind her, a soft sound like someone stepping on broken glass. She turned sharply. A figure stood at the door. Not just anyone. It was the head executive of Spotlight Studios. The same man who rejected her. The same man who once told her she'd never be good enough. He stepped into the light, eyes cold. "So," he said, "you found it." Anya stood up slowly, guarding the recorder. "You knew it was here," she said, voice steady. "You tried to bury it." The man gave a half smile. "Your father was dangerous. Not because he was loud, but because he was honest. He refused to let us control him. So we erased what we could, but we couldn't erase his blood. We couldn't erase you." Anya's eyes narrowed. "Why are you here now?" He stepped forward. "Because I want to offer you something. We'll re-record the song, professionally clean, with our brand. It'll go global. You'll be rich, a legend. And we'll finally put your father's name back on the map with our logo right next to his." Anya stared at him in disbelief. "You silenced him," she said. "You laughed at me, and now you want to profit from our pain." The man's voice dropped. "You want the world to hear him, don't you? This is the only way." Anya looked down at the recorder, then back at him. "No," she said. "I'll release it my way, without edits, without packaging, just the truth, raw and real." The man's jaw clenched. "You'll regret this. The world doesn't care about truth. It cares about image." Anya took a deep breath. "Then I'll change what the world cares about." She turned and walked out, holding the recorder tight. That night, she uploaded the song, no fancy visuals, just a still image of her father. She titled it, "The Voice They Tried to Bury." In the caption she wrote, "This is his final song, and I'm not afraid to let the world hear it." Within hours, it exploded. Hashtags trended. Radio stations played it. People everywhere sent messages, fathers hugging daughters, strangers crying in their cars, fans saying, "This saved me." But more than anything, it started something new, a conversation, a movement. Artists who had been silenced began to speak. Young singers who were told they weren't good enough found courage. Anya didn't just release a song, she released a damn dot. The next day, her phone rang. It was a woman from the Ministry of Arts. "We'd like to invite you to speak at the National Artists Conference," she said. "Your story matters. We want the youth to hear it. You've changed something. We want to honor that." Anya stood at her window, heart full. Her father's words had once been lost in a locked room. Now, they were echoing across the nation, and she had been the one to carry them forward. At the conference, she stood on stage, no guitar, no microphone, just just herself. She told the story from the beginning. The rejections, the tears, the notebook, the song, the buried truth. And then, she looked out into the crowd and said, "They told me I couldn't sing, but I sang anyway. And I will keep singing, not just for me, but for everyone who's been told to stay quiet. This is your voice too." The audience rose in applause. And among them, she saw someone standing quietly near the back. Armand? His eyes full. He hadn't said much lately. He had been watching from a distance. But now, he came forward and simply whispered, "I always knew. You weren't just a singer. You were the spark." Anya smiled, tears in her eyes. "And you were the match that lit it." That evening, they sat on the rooftop of her old hostel, watching the city lights. She held the notebook, he held his camera, and together, they made a silent promise. To tell the stories no one else would, to sing the songs the world forgot, and to never, ever let silence win again. But just as she packed her bag to leave, another envelope slipped under her door. No name, just one sentence on the front. Your father wasn't the only one they buried. Inside, a photo of her, mother. On stage, holding a mic, eyes filled with pain. Anya gasped. She had always believed her mother never sang, but this photo told a different story. And suddenly, a new mystery began. Anya couldn't move. Her hands shook as she held the photo, staring into her mother's eyes. It wasn't just a picture. It was a secret, a lie that had been sitting in the shadows her entire life. Her mother had sung. On stage, with a microphone, in front of a crowd? But why had she never spoken of it? Why had she told Anya she never liked music? Why had she told her that singing was a waste of time? The photo felt like a mirror that had cracked. Everything Anya thought she knew was suddenly uncertain. She looked again. In the bottom corner of the photo, there was a faded logo. Velvet Room Final Showcase, 1998. The Velvet Room. Anya quickly searched for it on her phone. It had been one of the most iconic underground music venues in the city back in the 90s. Known for raw, emotional performances and rebellious voices. It had closed down mysteriously years ago. Anya's heart raced. Why was her mother there? Why had she stopped singing? And what happened after that night? Without wasting time, Anya made her way to the last known address of the Velvet Room. It had become an antique store now. Inside, dim lights glowed over old pianos, broken radios, and dusty records. A man in his late 60s stood behind the counter. His eyes were sharp and tired, like someone who had seen too much. "Excuse me," Anya said, pulling out the photo. "Did you work here? At the Velvet Room?" The man looked at the photo. His face changed instantly. His mouth opened slightly. "Where did you get this?" he whispered. "It was left at my door," Anya replied. "That's my mother." "Studied her. You're Faraz's daughter?" Anya nodded. The man slowly walked to the back, gesturing for her to follow. They entered a small room with black and white pictures lining the walls, artists from years ago, captured in moments of raw emotion. He pointed to one, a young woman holding a guitar. "That's your mother," he said. "She used to light up this place." "She never told me she sang," Anya whispered. The man gave a bitter smile. "She didn't just sing, she was the voice of fire. We all thought she'd change everything." Anya turned to him. "What happened?" He took a deep breath. "Your mother was in love with a man who also sang here. Your father. They were both rising stars, and they were dangerous. Not because of what they said, but because they spoke truth. Labels wanted them. Studios tried to buy them, but they refused to be controlled. One night, they performed a duet that shook the room. People cried, people cheered, but someone powerful was in the crowd. A man who didn't like what he heard." Anya's chest tightened. "The same man who runs Spotlight Studios now?" he said. Her blood went cold. "He told them they could either sign exclusive contracts and sing what he wrote or be erased." The man said, "Your father walked away. Your mother." She hesitated. Anya's heart sank. She chose silence. "No," he said softly. "She didn't get to choose." A week later, the venue was raided. Her final performance never aired. She was accused of plagiarism falsely. Her name was dragged. She disappeared from music overnight. And when she found out she was pregnant with you, she promised never to return to that world. Anya felt the walls spin. Her mother hadn't given up. She had been silenced, erased, and all this time she carried that pain alone. Tears welled in her eyes. "She lied to protect me." "Yes," he said. "But the truth has found you now." As she left the shop, Anya felt something shift inside her. Her voice didn't just belong to her father. It belonged to her mother too. They had both carried fire and been burned, but she was still standing. She had a voice that could no longer be silenced. That evening, she sat at her old piano. Her fingers hovered above the keys. She thought of her mother's voice, her father's strength, her own journey. Then slowly, she began to write a new song. One neither of them had ever sung, but one they had both lived. The melody poured out of her like tears, gentle, aching, honest. The lyrics told a story of stolen dreams, of buried truths, of voices lost but not forgotten. She titled it, "The Fire Within." Armand walked in, quiet as always. He listened as she played, his camera forgotten in his hands. When she finished, he whispered, This is the one." Anya looked at him. I want to perform it live. On the same stage my mother sang on, but the Velvet Room is closed, he said. Then we'll reopen it, just for one night. The idea was insane. The place was old, dusty, forgotten, but somehow it felt right. They worked for a week cleaning the space, wiring lights, fixing the sound system with borrowed speakers and microphones. News spread like wildfire online. The Daughter of Silence returns to the Velvet Room. Fans, artists, and reporters lined up outside, buzzing with excitement and emotion. Anya stepped onto the stage, her heart pounding like a drum. The room fell silent. She looked out into the crowd, people holding candles, phones, photos of her father, and in the front row, her mother, sitting alone, eyes filled with tears. For the first time, Anya saw her not as a woman who ran from music, but one who was forced to run. She took a deep breath. This is for the voices that were buried, for the fire that refused to die, for the truth they tried to erase, and most of all, for the mother who taught me silence isn't weakness. Then she sang, and the world stopped. Her voice cracked at first. Then it soared, powerful, raw, beautiful. Each lyric hit like thunder. Each note felt like healing. The audience wept. Armaa and filmed from the side, tears rolling down his face. Her mother placed a hand over her heart, eyes closed as if she were hearing her own voice echo through her daughter. When the final note faded, the room erupted. Applause, screams, people on their feet, chanting her name. But Anya didn't smile. She just looked at her mother. Her mother stood up slowly, walked to the stage, and whispered one word, "Sing." Anya collapsed into her arms. Two broken voices, finally together, but just as they embraced, a phone in the front row buzzed loudly. A news alert, a journalist shouted. Breaking news, Spotlight Studios CEO under investigation for silencing artists. Gasps filled the room. Anya stepped forward. What happened? The journalist held up the phone. Multiple artists have come forward, and someone leaked old footage from the 90s of him threatening your father and others. Anya's eyes widened. Someone had exposed the truth. But who? The journalist added. They say a former insider finally spoke. A woman who worked in the archives? Armand looked stunned. YA turned to the crowd. The truth always finds its way, she said, but in her heart, she knew this wasn't over. Backstage, her phone VIBR, ATED. Another anonymous message. This time, it said, they weren't the only ones. There are more songs, more voices, hidden. Will you help them too? She looked up at the mirror in front of her. She wasn't just a singer now. She was a voice for the voiceless. And the silence. It had just begun to break. The days after the Velvet Room performance were a storm. Anya's video had gone viral. Millions watched, shared, and commented. People called her the girl who sang her mother's silence. Celebrities praised her bravery. Activists quoted her lyrics. Former artists began speaking out. But with every light, there was shadow. Anya's inbox overflowed with threats. Stop digging into the past. You think you're a hero. Not everyone wants the truth to come out. She tried to ignore them, but one message was different. It had no name, no number, just a single sentence. You're getting close to the truth that buried them all. She showed it to Armand. This is serious, he said, concern in his voice. I can't stop now, she replied. Not when I'm this close. He hesitated. You're not just a singer anymore, Anya. You're a symbol. That makes you a target. She nodded. Then let them aim. I won't run like my mother had to. But inside, fear was crawling. Not for herself, but for her mother, for Armand, for anyone helping her. That night, her mother knocked on her room door. She sat beside her, holding a box. I kept this hidden. For years, she said softly. But maybe it's time. Inside were handwritten lyrics, old cassette tapes, and a journal. Anya picked up the first page. Her mother's voice came alive through ink. They didn't fear our songs. They feared what they unlocked. Anya felt chills. There's a story here, she whispered. Yes, her mother said. And it's unfinished. Over the next few days, Anya read every page. It told of secret meetings between underground artists, of coded songs meant to expose corruption, of disappearances no one investigated. Her mother's journal hinted that some tapes were never recovered. One, especially called Track 17, was said to reveal everything. But it was missing. Do you know where this tape is? Anya asked her mother. She shook her head. I gave it to someone I trusted. He vanished. Anya's mind raced. What if the tape still existed? She called the old man at the antique shop. Farouk, do you remember anyone named Kabir? He had a connection to my parents. Silence. Then Kabir was one of the bravest souls we had. He guarded the last recordings. We thought he died in a fire. Worked near the docks. Studio 9 burned to ashes 20 years ago. But Anya's gut said something was off. Fires don't erase all things. Especially truth. She and Armand drove to the docks. The air was heavy with salt and silence. Studio 9 was abandoned. Roof half collapsed, windows broken, walls covered in vines. But as they stepped inside, Anya felt something. Alive. Like the past still breathed here. They searched the ruined space. In the back corner, under burnt wood and broken glass, Armand found ATRAPDOR. It creaked open into a basement, dark, cold, dust, thick in the air. They climbed down, and there it was, a locked metal cabinet. Scorched on the outside, Anya's heart pounded. She grabbed a crowbar, forced it open. Inside, tapes, dozens, labeled with dates, names, and one, barely readable track to Jubileus. Final cut. Anya gasped. Her hands shook. They rushed home, hooked up an old tape player. As the tape rolled, a voice began speaking. It wasn't a song, it was a confession. A man's voice, trembling, scared, recorded in secret. I worked for Spotlight Studios. I buried voices. I signed silence. But and Amir, they were different. They couldn't be bought. I was ordered to destroy their final track. Instead, I hid it here. If you're hearing this, it means the system is still alive, and the fire must rise again. Then the tape cut. Silence. Anya looked at Armand. This is proof, he said. It's more than that, Anya whispered. It's a weapon. But they needed to be smart. They contacted Mira, a journalist known for fearless truth. She came to their house, listened, and sat in stunned silence. We can release this, she said, but we'll need protection. Anya nodded. I don't care what it takes. The world needs to hear it. Mira agreed to set up a live stream, one that couldn't be taken down, a platform of resistance. But as preparations began, Anya received another message. No name, no threat, just, if you air that tape, we'll air yours. Attached was a photo, grainy edited. It showed Anya talking to someone, then hugging them. Someone who looked like a major politician's daughter. It was a lie, but a dangerous one. Armand stared at it. They're trying to twist your image. If they convince people you're political, the message will be lost. Anya took a deep breath. Then I'll speak before they do. That night, she posted a video. To those trying to silence me, do it, leak the photos, spread the lies. But the truth I carry is louder than any noise you make. I don't sing for power. I sing for the powerless. And tomorrow, the world will hear what you tried to bury. The next evening, the stream went live. Thousands joined, then tens of thousands. Anya stood before the mic, Armand by her side, Mira behind the cameras. She held up the tape. This was hidden for 20 years. It holds not just a voice but a warning. They played it, and the world listened. The confession sent shockwaves. Hashtags exploded. Hashtag track 17 trended globally. Former artists confirmed the voice. Protests began outside Spotlight Studios. News anchors demanded accountability, but Anya didn't celebrate. That night, her house was broken into. Nothing was stolen, but a note was left. You opened the door. Now walk carefully. She stared at it, her hands cold. Are you okay? Armand asked. She looked up, steady. They've been walking on our voices for years. It's time we walk on theirs. But deep inside, Anya knew the next step would cost more than she was ready for, because one final truth remained, and it was one even her mother had never dared to speak. Anya didn't sleep that night. She sat near the window, eyes fixed on the empty street, holding her mother's journal like a shield. The warning left in their house echoed in her mind. You opened the door. Now walk carefully. But how? Could she walk carefully when every step pulled her deeper into a war she didn't start? By morning, her phone wouldn't stop ringing. The Track 17 broadcast had gone global. News outlets from Europe, America, even parts of Africa wanted interviews. People were calling her brave. Some were calling her dangerous. Some wanted her to run for office. Others wanted her to disappear. Mira arrived early with 2 security men. Things are moving fast, she said, placing her phone on the table. There's a government investigation into Spotlight Studios now. Old contracts, hush money, everything. Good, Anya said. But it's not enough. You're right, Mira said slowly. Because there's one thing still missing. Your mother's voice. Anya turned to her. What do you mean? I found something, Mira said, pulling out a USB drive. It was buried in the legal records. Your mother recorded a song called The Witness, but it was never released. Spotlight blocked it, said it was too political. But the master file was archived with her name. Anya's heart skipped. Do you have it? Mira nodded. They played it. Her mother's voice filled the room. Older, raw, not the polished sound of today's music, but real. The lyrics painted a picture of girls being silenced, of artists being erased, of voices being treated like property. One line repeated like a haunting cry. I sang not to be heard, but to make them feel. Tears ran down Anya's cheeks. Armand reached over and held her hand. This song, this is her truth. Anya whispered. It's more than that. Mira said, it's your inheritance. They made a decision Anya would perform the song live. No edits, no auto-tune. Her voice, carrying her mother's melody, for the whole world to hear. But it wouldn't be safe. Spotlight Studios had been quiet, too quiet. Anya knew they were planning something. She could feel it. That night, an email arrived. From an anonymous source. Don't sing that song, or we'll make sure the world never hears you again. Attached was a document. It was a forged medical report stating that Anya had a mental disorder, that her past trauma had caused delusions, that she was unstable and unfit to perform publicly. She slammed her laptop shut. They're trying to erase me like they did her, she said, voice shaking. Armand's eyes blazed. Then you sing even louder. The concert was scheduled for the following Saturday. It would be broadcast live on every major platform. Maria arranged everything: security, backup servers, legal teams. The venue was symbolic. A rooftop stage in the city center, the same place where her mother had once dreamed of performing. 2 nights before the event, Anya received a visit. An old man, thin, pale, with shaking hands. He introduced himself as Kabir. Her heart stopped. "You were supposed to be dead," she said. "I was," he replied softly. To them, he handed her a sealed envelope. "This is the truth your mother couldn't sing." Inside was a letter, in her mother's handwriting, dated weeks before the fire that nearly killed Kabir. "My voice wasn't enough, but maybe yours will be. I wasn't just silenced by fear, I was silenced by someone I loved, someone I trusted." Enya's breath caught. The letter didn't name anyone, but it ended with a warning. "Don't trust the ones who speak too sweetly. They are the ones who helped bury me." Anya stared at the paper, her hands cold. "Who do you think she meant?" Arman asked. Kabir looked away. "I have ideas, but no proof. That's why I stayed hidden." Anya looked at Arman. Something twisted in her chest. Could it be Mira? No, she had helped too much. Could it be Farouk? He seemed too gentle. Could it be someone still close? She pushed the thought away. There was no time for doubt now. The night of the concert came. The city buzzed with energy. Crowds filled the streets. Drones hovered overhead. People tuned in from across the world. Anya stood on the rooftop, the sky above her dark and endless. The band waited behind her. The cameras rolled, and she stepped to the mic. "This song," she said, "was written by a woman who was told her voice didn't matter. She was told that her silence was safer, but silence is a slow death. Tonight, I sing not to be heard, but to make you feel." She closed her eyes, and began. The first note was soft, almost a whisper, then stronger. Her voice carried pain, power, memory. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And in that realness, the crowd grew still. Streets below fell silent. People cried, people cheered, people remembered. She hit the final note and it cracked, but she held it. The wind lifted her hair. Her eyes were wet. Then the power cut. Everything went black. Gasps filled the air. Seconds passed, then emergency. Lights flickered on. The screens stayed dark. Her mic was dead. Panic rippled across the crowd, but Anya stepped forward and sang again. Without a mic, without music. Just her voice, raw, loud, unstoppable. People picked up their phones. Live streams resumed. One by one, the world heard her again. The blackout failed. She sang till her voice broke. And still, she didn't stop. When it was over, the lights returned. And on every screen words appeared. "Let the truth sing." But something was wrong. Backstage, Mira was missing. Arman's phone rang. It was Mira. Her voice was shaking. "They found me. They know I have the files. The ones your mother tried to hide. They took my laptop. I'm being followed." The call cut. Anya stood frozen. Where was she? She asked one of the crew. "She went outside 15 minutes ago. Said she was getting something from her car." Anya turned to Arman. "They're still hunting us." Arman pulled out his phone. "I have her location. She shared it earlier just in case." It was a warehouse near the edge of the city. Anya looked at him. "We have to go." He hesitated. "It could be a trap." "I don't care." They drove through empty roads. The city felt different, like it was holding its breath. They reached the warehouse, quiet, no lights. They entered slowly. Inside it was dark, empty. But then a noise. They found Mira tied, bruised but alive. "They were trying to upload fake footage," she said weakly. "To discredit the performance, to twist it." Anya helped her up. "Did they take anything else?" Arman asked. "No," Mira said, "because I lied. The real files, I never brought them." Anya exhaled. They left together, but as they stepped outside, a black car blocked the exit. Stepped out. One held a gun. Enya's heart pounded. And then, a second car crashed into the black car from the side. It was Kabir. He shouted, "Run." They ran into the night, into the maze of empty buildings. And as they ran, Anya knew this wasn't over. The final truth still slept in those files. And someone powerful wanted it to stay that way. But she was done running, because the world had already heard her voice. Now, it was time for them to hear her scream.